Hare Krishna. So we continue our discussion on the 8 treasures that Lord Chaitanya received or took from different sampradayas. And this morning we discussed the treasure of complete defeat of Mayavada, Mayavada philosophy. Now we will discuss on the second treasure that Lord Chaitanya accepted from Brahma-Madhva sampradaya, and this is krsna-murti-sevana, service of the deities of Krishna. And it also means that we are exclusively dedicated our devotion to Krishna, to this particular form of the personality of Godhead, which is, of course, as we know, the original one. So yes, worship of the deities is extremely important in our sampradaya. It is explained by Rupa Goswami that worship of the deities is one of the 5 most potent angas of bhakti, ways of devotional service, along with associating with devotees, living at the holy place, studying Srimad Bhagavatam, and chanting of the holy names. So, so we can know from this how important it is to worship the Lord. Prabhupada many times faced arguments. Why do you worship the Lord in deity form? Because Lord is everywhere. Or in the temple, because Lord is everywhere. And Prabhupada's argument was what?
If he's everywhere, why he's not in the temple?
Yes, and in the murti, yes. He's everywhere, yes, we all accept this. So if he's everywhere, he's also in the temple. And he's also in murti, in Krishna's deity form. Yes. And Krishna, as a personal deity, personal God, he wants to reciprocate with his devotees. And since in this world all instruments we have are material senses, so we cannot perceive him in other ways than physical form. So he assumes this physical form from mercy. Yes. So we should worship his deity form. And it is explained that there are many different deity forms. It's not just a deity form that we can see on the altar, but it can be also deity form in the mind. This is also accepted as a bona fide deity. So, and of course we should also worship the deity in the mind. This is part of meditation. And deity in the mind, because the nature of the mind is not as stable as deity on the altar. These elements are much more immovable than the mind. So the deity in the mind can also be movable. Doesn't need to be static, because it's not a static matter. This is a static matter, and it's not material anymore, because the Lord accepted this form. But still, he assumed this form in material elements. And we have, it is explained in Shastra, there are different materials that the deity can be made from. And one is, of course, this is metal, and then it can be made of wood, and it can be made of stone, and it can be made of jewels also. It can be made from mud, and it can be made from the paint, like a painting or photograph. And it can be a deity in the mind. So all these forms of the deity are bona fide deities. Yes. And it's interesting that these different forms were always worshipped, also by great personalities, and of different divinities. And I stressed before that we should be completely dedicated to this particular form of the Lord, which is Krishna. And it is mentioned by Narottam Das Thakur that we should be so dedicated to Krishna as Hanuman is dedicated to Lord Ram. It's interesting that he uses the example of Hanuman, who is devoted to Lord Ram. And there is an interesting story that illustrates how Hanuman is attached to his Lord Ram. And Narottam Thakur also explains that Hanuman says that, yes, I know that Lord Narayan, who is super soul in the heart, and my Lord Ram is the same personality, but still my only life and soul is Lord Ram. So this should be also our conviction about Lord Krishna, as this our only worshipable deity is Lord Krishna. Once Lord Krishna from Dwaraka instructed Garuda, and he said to Garuda, go to Ayodhya, where Hanuman is worshipping Lord Ram, and bring him here. And Garuda flew to Hanuman, and he saw Hanuman, how he was worshipping Lord Ram with great love. Tears were rolling down the cheeks of Hanuman when he was worshipping his Lord of his heart. And he said to him, please come quickly, Lord Krishna is calling you. And Hanuman said, I don't have time, I have to worship my Lord. And Garuda found this very offensive. How can you deny? If Lord Krishna himself is calling you, how can you deny that you should come immediately? And he wanted to grab Hanuman and forcefully bring him to Krishna. But Hanuman, just with the tip of his tail, pushed away Garuda, that he flew 100 yojanas away or something. Very forcefully. And then Garuda couldn't bring Hanuman and went back to Krishna and said, I couldn't bring him. He was busy worshipping Lord Ram. And then Krishna told him, go again and say to him that Lord Ram is calling him. And again, Garuda went to to Hanuman and said this to Hanuman. Lord Ram is calling you. Please come. And then Hanuman jumped so forcefully that Garuda again flew 100 yojanas away. And Krishna immediately said to Rukmini and to Balaram, please turn immediately to Sita and Lakshman. Hanuman is coming. And so Rukmini and Balaram turned to Sita and Lakshman, and just at that moment Hanuman arrived. And of course Krishna turned himself into Lord Ram. So, and then Hanuman offered his obeisance and worship and was besides himself of love of his beloved Lord. So this illustrates how fixed Jai Shri Panchatattva Ki Jai, how fixed we should be in worship of Lord Krishna. Yes. This is very important. And there are many instances of devotees who are very fixed in worshipping the deities. One from not distant past is quite recent, is from the experience of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj about Ganeshyam Prabhu. Have you heard this story? Is there anyone who didn't hear this story? Ganeshyam was a resident of Vrindavan. In fact, he came to Vrindavan with his parents when he was a young boy, young man. He was 18 or something, very young. And he was so impressed by Vrindavan that he didn't want to come home from Vrindavan. And parents who were very affluent, wealthy, they became extremely disturbed by this, and they threatened him that they will disown him and so on. But he didn't bother. He just stayed on the bank of the Yamuna, and during the day he wrote Radha's name, Radha's Krishna's name with the finger on the sand, and worshipping all day long these names of Radha and Krishna. And in the evening that someone wouldn't step on these names, he erased the names. And in the morning he again wrote them. And once when he erased the names, there was something, he felt that there is some solid thing in the sand. And he dig out the deities of Radha Gopijana Vallabha. Self-manifested deities. And so then he worshipped Radha Gopijana Vallabha under the tree for quite a long time. And then some family invited him that he could stay in the corridor of their house, and that he can put his deities of Radha Gopijana Vallabha in the closet where before they kept some brooms and some other stuff like this. So he accepted this offer, and he put the deities in this closet, and he worshipped them very diligently. So much so that because he was always engaged in worshipping the deities, he never went to any of the holy places of Vrindavan because he didn't have time to go, because he didn't have anyone that he could entrust his deities. So he was worshipping them all the time, practically. He was carrying water from Yamuna to bathe them and to give them water, and even he didn't do any madhukari, so other renunciates brought him some rotis every day, a roti or two that he could offer to the deities, and that all he took every day was just some simple, extremely simple prasad. And Radhanath Maharaj, when he was, even before he became a devotee officially, he met this Ganashyam Prabhu, and he visited him regularly, and whenever he came, Ganashyam Prabhu accepted him very enthusiastically, and he said, "You're the guest of Gopijana Vallabha, of Radha Gopijana Vallabha. You're a special guest, so you should enjoy, and I will serve you." And he served him these rotis. And then the other renunciates, sadhus of Vrindavan, became very upset with Radhanath Maharaj and said, "Do you know that Ganashyam, because of you, he didn't eat for 4 days, something?" He said, How come? Why he doesn't eat because of me? Because he gives everything he has to you." This was 1 roti, or 2 rotis maybe. And then next time, Maharaj decided that he will come later, that Ganashyam would already eat his rotis. And he really came much later than usually. And Ganashyam was elated when Maharaj appeared and said, "Oh, you came, Radha Gopijana Vallabha really waited you and saved these rotis for you." And then he didn't want to accept these rotis because he knew that this is the only food he has. And he said, "These rotis are for you." And he said, No. You are the guest, special guest of Radha Gopijana Vallabha. This is for you." And he said, "But you don't have anything to eat because of this." And he said, "No, who told you this? This is a lie." So I have a lot of things to eat. So this was his mood, always serving. Yes. There are also, this story is not so short, but if you have an opportunity, you can find it online. It's really heart-rendering story. Yes. You can hear this, how dedicated was to these deities all life long, from when he was 18 or something till the end of his life. He didn't go to any holy places in Vrindavan. When Radhanath Maharaj was there, he asked him, "Please go to this place and pray for me that I can serve." Once he was carrying a bucket of water from Yamuna, and he was in his 80s at the time, really old, and he couldn't carry so heavy load of this water. And so every step practically, he had to stop and take breath, that he could continue the next step. And when Maharaj saw him, he wanted to take bucket himself. That I'm a young man, I can easily carry this. But he didn't allow him to take this bucket. And then they were struggling, one from one side, another with another side. And then Ganesham said to Maharaj, with tears in his eyes, he said, please don't take this service from me. This is my only life. Please don't take this service from me. Practically crying for service. So then they brought this bucket together. Yes. So this is one example how dedicated one can be to the deities. And another example is similar, is of King Bahulashva. And what was the Brahmana? It was Shrutadeva was the Brahmana. And they were so, in Mithila, I think, and they were so dedicated to worship of the deities that they didn't have time to visit Krishna himself. So Krishna personally came to see them, and he manifested two forms of himself and his retinue of sages, that he visited at the same time both devotees. One was very opulent, one was the king, and the other was poor Brahmana. One a king accepted him very opulently, with music and dance and feast and so on. And they put Krishna on the throne. But Shrutadeva had to borrow mats, straw mats from the neighbors to receive his guests of Krishna and the sages. And he danced himself and sang for the Lord's pleasure. There were no dancing group and kirtan group. He danced himself. And he offered just some water, something really very simple to the Lord. But the Lord was happy in the same way with both offerings. Yes. So we should know the Lord is bhavagrahi. Bhavagrahi. That means he accepts our heart, our intention, our devotion. Not the thing, but our heart. Another example of this is when Duryodhana invited, or he expected Krishna to come as a messenger of peace from Pandavas. He prepared big, wonderful feast for Lord Krishna. And because he knew that Krishna loves kirtan, big kirtan groups received Krishna with great, the best possible, in technical way, kirtan. Yes, and he received him with garlands and different offerings and gold and so on, and he put him also on the altar and then on the throne, and glorify him and worship him, because he wanted Krishna to be on his side. And he prepared wonderful feast and so on. But Krishna said that, I won't accept anything because you are my enemy. And he went to Vidura's house, who didn't even expect him. And it is said that he was not even at home, in some versions, that his wife accepted him, and she was so disturbed, and because she didn't expect him, that he offered, she wanted to offer bananas, but in her confusion, she offered banana peels instead of bananas. But Lord accepted this strange offering with great enthusiasm and love. Yes, because it was offered with love, with not some expectations. So when we offer something to the Lord, it should be offered by love. And this is also explained in Bhagavad-gita. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktupahritam ashnami prayatatmana. That if someone offers with love and devotion, even something very, very simple thing, like leaf, a flower, a fruit, a water, the Lord will accept it. If there are 2 times bhakti used in this world. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upahritam ashnami prayatatmana. Yes, this is not redundant. It's too much used, because it is explained that it should be prepared with love and offered with love, and then the Lord will accept it. Yes, and this is important to know, that we shouldn't buy things in the shop for the Lord's pleasure, because it's not prepared with love for the Lord's pleasure. Yes, it's important to have this mood of devotion. And in the next verse he says, Yat karoshi yat ashnasi yat chuhoshi dadasi yat tapasesi kaunteya tat kurushvama darpanam. And that means that whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, just do it, and all austerities you perform, just do it as an offering to me. But he doesn't say that he accepts these things, because he said, whatever you do, so if you do something good or bad, or you with devotion or without devotion, just offer it to me. So the first verse explains pure devotional service, and this explains if someone is not a devotee, that he should offer everything to the Lord, and with the contact with the Lord, he will get purified. Om apavitrah pavitrava sarvavastam gatopiva yaksmarit pundarikaksham sabhyabhyantara shuchi. So whatever is in the contact with the Lord gets purified. But it doesn't mean that the Lord accepts. So if you want the Lord to accept, our offerings should be prepared and offered with love. Then he will accept. But even if we are not on this platform to prepare something with love and offer with love, we should at least offer everything we do and everything we have to Lord's pleasure. Hare Krishna. So, the next point I wanted to make is that worship of the deities is especially meant for grihastas. Because grihastas have many obligations, and so the possibility is there that they can forget who is the master of the house easily. And if there is a deity of the Lord in the house, then it's quite easy to remember, yes, Lord is my master, and I'm just his servant, because this is the way we have to practice this consciousness, because we are Krishna consciousness movement. We are not the movement just for worshipping Krishna. Of course we worship Krishna, but we are not Krishna ritual movement, but Krishna consciousness movement. So we should be conscious of Krishna, and by worshipping of deities, we are conscious that we are the servants, that we are the servants all the time. Of course, you live here in the community, and Prabhupada emphasized that if people live in community like this, they shouldn't have their own deities, that they should have common deities in the temple, and that grihasthas should worship these deities in the temple. And it's important that the whole community comes together in the morning for Mangala Arati and in the evening for Gaura Arati and glorify Krishna together and have Krishna Katha together. Yes, this is the purpose of community. The community is meant to glorify Krishna together, not for any other purpose, practically speaking. Yes, this is the purpose of our life, to glorify Krishna, and because Sankirtan is the process for this age, that means that we should glorify Krishna together. And if we don't have this opportunity to come together in larger community, we should come together in our house every day, all the family members. So we should have deity as the center of our house, and family should gather together in the morning and glorify Krishna together, and in the evening can glorify Krishna together. It is said that family that prays together stays together, and the family that sings together clings together. And family that dances together advances together. Yes. So it's very important that family performs devotional activities together. Extremely important, because I have seen many times that for maybe father worships Shalagram Shila, but no one in the family is involved in this worship. And so this is very distant for everyone in the family except his father, maybe. So it's important that children from the earliest age can be involved in deity worship themselves, and they should help parents in worshipping the deities and bathing them, and that they should also have some duties for the deities, just themselves, because they should be taught to accept some duties in life. Yes. Also to the Lord, of course. It's important that children have duties, not just some mundane duties, but also duties directly to the Lord. Yes. So it's the worship of the deities is extremely important for promoting spiritual culture and for developing our consciousness. of servitude. Yes, because we should know that we are servants. Jivara Swarupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. We are always the servants of Krishna. There was never the time that we weren't the servants. And there will be never the time that we won't be the servants. And this applies for every living entity, also the most ardent atheists and Mayavadis and who knows who, yes, and sinners and so on. We are all Krishna's servants eternally. This is our position. Yes. So we should, as a devotee, we should practice this consciousness. And deity worship is very conducive for this. And it's interesting when gopis came to Krishna during the night, when Krishna played his flute to attract gopis into the forest to dance with him. He teased them at the beginning, and he said, Shravanat darshanat dhyanat mayi bhavo kirtanat natata sanikarshana pratyata tato grihan. That he said that it's not a physical proximity that helps one to develop love for me. It's Shravanat darshanat dhyanat. If one hears about me, and if he sees my deity form, yes, and it's interesting this how he put it, in what order. Shravanat. So first we must hear about the Lord, that we know this is the Lord, His absolute personality, supreme personality of Godhead, and so on. That we have that we establish proper sambandha jnana. This is established by hearing, and then Shravana darshanat. So then we can see the deity with proper vision. And when we see the Lord, we can also meditate on the Lord. It's more easy to meditate on the Lord. So if you observe the deity, you can also meditate on the deity, how the deity is dressed, how it's decorated. So it's very conducive for meditation also, deity worship. Because deity is non-different from the Lord. So we can meditate also on our deities in the temple, on their outfit, or how beautiful they are. Dhyanat. Mayi bhavo nukirtanat. And then we can glorify the Lord. Because without meditation, without deep thinking about the Lord, we can hardly glorify the Lord. So we should dhyanat, meditate on the Lord, and then glorify Him. Yes. This is the process Krishna explained to the gopis. And he spoke this same verse, exactly the same verse, to Yagic, the wives of Yagic Brahmanas. But the difference is that the gopis didn't obey him and returned home immediately, but these wives did. That was the difference. Yes. So, yes, we should take this process of deity worship very seriously, because it's one of the 5 most potent aspects of devotional service, and accepted by Lord Chaitanya as one of the most important items accepted from different sampradayas. in this case from Brahma-Madhva sampradaya. Hare Krishna. Do you have any questions or comments? Yes, please.
How shall we understand this? That in the morning you were very emphatically, pointing out that only chanting the Lord is can make spiritual advancement. And
Yes.
you also say that deity worship is important. So how and there are 5 items. So how can we understand this?
Thank you for question. It is mentioned by Jiva Goswami in his Sandarbhas that in Kali Yuga, every limp of devotional service should be accompanied by chanting of the holy name. Yes. Even when we worship the deities, we should chant the holy name. Yes, everything should be accompanied with the chanting of the holy name. Yes. This is the proper worship in Kali Yuga. Kalo nastyeva, nastyeva, nastyeva gatiraneta. There is no other way, no other way, no other way than chanting of the holy name. Yes. So, yes.
And also Rama or what you can ask Rama, which item is the most important? And then Rama said the chanting of the holy name.
Yes, Lord Chaitanya was asked many times, a few times, which is most important aspect of devotional service, and he said it's chanting of the holy names. And it's interesting that Prabhupada many times he writes that is hearing the most important item of devotional service. Isn't it? It seems contradictory. Why Prabhupada emphasizes hearing? Yes, without proper hearing, we will never properly chant the holy name. Yes, because we will be offensive towards the holy name if we chant at all. But without proper hearing, we cannot properly chant. So, hearing is first prerequisite that we should properly hear, and then with proper consciousness we should chant the holy name of the Lord. Yes. So hearing is so important. That we hear regularly the proper philosophy. And we will also discuss this tomorrow morning. We will discuss the treasures, 2 treasures. First we will discuss just one. Tomorrow morning we will discuss one treasure from Sri Sampradaya, Ramanuja Sampradaya. Yes?
Hearing has become so popular, hearing kirtan globally today.
Sorry?
Hearing kirtan
Yes?
has become very popular
Yes?
globally. And what's the effect of these kirtans which are not coming in the proper sampradaya?
It is explained that milk touched by the fangs of a serpent becomes poisonous. So this kirtan performed by non-devotees, Shri Panchatattva ki jai. This kirtans performed by non-devotees is poisonous for the living entities. Because they teach them Mayavada philosophy, not devotional service. Yes, and this is detrimental for their spiritual life. It's death practically. Yes, So we should perform devotional kirtans as much as possible, yes, for the benefit of the whole humanity. Yes. Um, because if we don't have proper understanding of philosophy, there will be sentimental thoughts. Yes, they are performing kirtan, they will be purified. But offenses, they have, if we chant the holy name with offenses, there's never ever stated anywhere that chanting with offenses can purify us.
I was thinking about the example of Allen Ginsberg.
Yes.
He was chanting before he met Prabhupada.
Yes.
He grew up in India and he was very attached to the chanting. But then he met Prabhupada and Prabhupada asked him, you chant. He encouraged him to chant.
Yes. We don't know what was the consciousness of Allen Ginsberg. He was basically confused living entity. uh, by the contact of Srila Prabhupada, he received the opportunity to properly understand the holy name. Yes, because Prabhupada was pure devotee. And if he chanted under the order of Srila Prabhupada, he was very fortunate. This was a devotional service, even unknowingly, maybe. Yes. So, yes, please.
It said that deity worship it's part of the Pancharati.
Vidi, yes.
And mostly for neophytes. But then we see Rupa, Sanatana, Gadadhar, Pandit.
They are not neophytes. Yes. It is said that it's mostly for neophytes. Because this is not devotional statement. It's not for devotees, for devotee neophytes. It's for everyone in devotional service, and we can see from examples you mentioned that most elevated souls, they were worshipping the deities, not just neophytes. Yes. This is the idea of Mayavada and Brahma-Madhva philosophies, that neophytes should worship the deities, and when they become elevated, they can reject deities. Because they realize that everything is one Brahman. Yes. But this is not Vaishnava philosophy. Vaishnava philosophy is that the deity is non-different from Krishna. And so the deity should be worshipped. And we can see also in our movement, even great personalities are worshipping the deities, their own deities. And these acharyas were worshipping deities. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also, he was worshipping deities. And he was not a neophyte devotee. And of course, you mentioned the most elevated souls in the history of humankind. Rupa, Sanatana, and Gadadhar Pandit. Yes, they all worship the deities. So yes, this is the process. And even if we don't have deities in the physical form, we should worship them in our heart. Yes, very intimately we can worship the deity in the heart. Yes, so it's very important. Is there any other questions or comments? Yes.
Just Allen Ginsberg,
Prabhupada encouraged him sometimes, but also sometimes he was a bit. Allen Ginsberg wanted to sing all the time.
Yes.
Prabhupada, now you have to stop, and he told sometimes his disciples.
Yes.
Because he was singing also other mantras, like different songs he heard, like.
Yes. He was encouraging him, actually. He wanted that he becomes attached to Prabhupada, to the path of pure devotional service. Yes.
And also used his fame to
Yes.
people knew about Ginsberg and were attracted to him, so then more people would come if he would chant maybe.
Yes, of course. Of course. But we should know that Prabhupada never compromised pure devotional service. It's important to know this because I just recently heard from, I don't know from which book, about Prabhupada. And he says that we shouldn't go on the streets to perform Harinam to please the public, but to please Krishna. This should be our goal when we go on the streets to distribute books or perform Harinam. It's not public performance, he said. It's worship of Krishna. It's for Krishna's pleasure. This is the only purpose, not to attract public or to please them. It's to please Krishna. This should be our only purpose. Yes. So it should be done with pure heart for Krishna's pleasure. Then people will be attracted. If we, for example, see when Prabhupada sang in the beginning in New York in this park, his eyes were closed, he was completely fixed on the holy name. And he didn't look around, he's attractive to other people or not. But because people saw that Prabhupada is completely absorbed in the chanting of the holy name, they were attracted. They were attracted. Yes. So our purpose when we go out in the streets is to please Krishna, not to attract the crowd. Of course, we don't do something that we repel the crowd. This is also not our purpose. Our purpose is to satisfy Krishna, is to glorify Krishna. Yes. Okay. Anything else? Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. Please accept my